Across the pale rings of the distant system, human ships drifted like patient hunters. They carried no banners and no prayers. They carried people who had learned that survival was a craft earned through endurance. Among them stood Adam High, a quiet officer whose past was unremarkable as his resolve was unyielding. He had not been born to greatness, yet he carried it with steady hands. The alien empire of Lear had once believed itself untouchable. Its cities floated on crystal spires and its fleets shone like art. When the invading Void clans came, beauty did not save them. The clans burned worlds and shattered moons. Lear defenses failed in days. Royal lines fell one by one. In the final hour, a single human task force answered a call that no other answered. Adam commanded the ground unit that reached the capital moon. He did not speak of heroism. He spoke of routes, cover, and timing. When his team broke through the siege wall, they found the royal refuge in ruins. Guards lay fallen. Fires painted the halls with smoke. In a sealed chamber, they found the last heir, Princess Lyra, wounded yet defiant. She expected fear in human eyes. She saw focus instead. Adam ordered medics forward and took position at the door. When the clans breached the outer hall, he stood firm. He did not shout. He did not boast. He held the line until evacuation ships arrived. In that hour, Lyra watched a species she had been taught to doubt become her shield. The escape shattered the clan's assault. Human fleets coordinated strikes that broke the siege. The capital moon survived. News spread across Allied space. The humans had not come to rule. They had come to protect. The title followed Adam unwillingly. They called him her protector. In the months that followed, Adam remained near the Lear court as an advisor. He requested no honors. He asked for maps and reports. Lyra recovered under guarded skies. She studied human tactics and human restraint. When she met Adam in private councils, she called him master. The word unsettled him at first. He asked her to stop. She refused gently. In her culture, master meant the one who carried responsibility for another life. It was a bond of trust, not submission. She said the title reminded her that strength could be calm. Adam accepted the meaning, if not the comfort. Threats returned as whispers. The Void clans regrouped. They learned from defeat. They planned a strike aimed not at fleets, but at hearts. A covert armada slipped through hidden lanes toward Lear core worlds. Adam saw the pattern before others did. He urged evacuation drills and hardened defenses. Some doubted him. Lear pride still lingered. When the armada struck, alarms screamed across the capital. Adam moved without pause. He coordinated civilian shelters and counterstrikes. Lyra refused to flee. She stood beside him in the command hall, translating orders between species. The clans landed troops in the lower districts. Chaos rose like a tide. Adam led a small force into the streets. He knew the terrain now. He had walked it with engineers and teachers. He fought not with fury, but with purpose. His team rescued trapped families and collapsed enemy advances. Each action bought time. At dawn, the human fleet arrived. Precision fire ended the invasion. The clans retreated in fragments. The city stood scarred yet alive. In the aftermath, Lear leaders gathered. They offered Adam a throne beside the princess. He declined. He asked, instead, for a pact of shared defense and shared learning. The pact changed history. Lear artisans redesigned ships with human pragmatism. Humans learned from Lear energy craft. Together they pushed the clans beyond the rim. Adam returned to his duties. Still near yet never above in quiet moments, Lyra met him in a garden rebuilt from ash. She spoke of fear and hope. She thanked him without ceremony. She called him master and smiled. He reminded her that she led her people. She replied that leaders still needed protectors. Years passed. The story spread through space. They spoke of a human who stood when beauty fell. They spoke of a princess who trusted an outsider. They spoke of a bond that was neither conquest nor worship. Adam aged. Lyra ruled. When threats arose, they answered together. Humanity gained a reputation not for dominance, but for guardianship. When asked why, Adam once said that survival taught them to value every life. At the end of his service, Adam walked alone through the Capitol Hall. Statues lined the way, not of him but of unity. Lyra met him there. She bowed as a queen should. In private, she called him master one last time, honoring the man who had taught her that strength could stand quietly and still change the stars. Before the First War, humanity had been scattered and cautious. Their colonies were practical places of steel and soil. They measured success by harvests and repaired hulls. When contact with Lear first occurred, talks were formal and distant. Lear saw humans as rough allies. Humans saw Lear as fragile wonders. Neither expected fate to bind them so tightly. Adam had grown on a frontier station where alarms were lessons. He learned early that panic wasted breath. His mentors were engineers and medics. From them he learned that saving one system often meant losing another. Choices mattered. That memory guided every order he gave. During his early days at the Lear court, Adam observed rituals with patience. He did not mock them. He asked questions. Lyra noticed. She invited him to lessons about Lear history. He shared stories of human expansion and loss. Mutual respect replaced fear. When the clans returned, their leaders believed humans would hesitate. They misunderstood human resolve. Humanity had learned that retreat without purpose was extinction. The counter-campaign that followed the second invasion was careful and relentless. Supply lines were severed. Safe havens were denied. The clans fragmented under pressure. Throughout the campaign, Adam refused promotion that would pull him away. He insisted on remaining where coordination mattered most. Lyra trusted his judgment. She learned to weigh counsel against pride. Together they shaped responses that saved worlds. After victory, joint academies formed. Lear scholars and human cadets studied side by side. They debated ethics and tactics. Adam lectured rarely but clearly. He spoke of accountability. His words carried weight because he lived them. In later years, when younger officers asked why the princes used such a personal title, Adam explained the cultural meaning. He never allowed it to become spectacle. Privacy preserved dignity. As time softened scars, trade routes flourished. Art and industry mixed. Children of many species learned a shared history that began with defense rather than conquest. The phrase her protector became symbolic. It no longer referred to a single man, but to a principle. When Adam finally retired, he left quietly. Lyra ensured his passage home was unmarked by ceremony. She understood his nature. In her final message, she thanked him for teaching her that leadership was service. The stars remained dangerous. Yet where humans and Lear stood together, the darkness hesitated. Stories traveled farther than fleets. In distant systems, others prepared to stand as protectors in their own way. Long after Adam returned to human space, echoes of his choices continued to guide events. New threats emerged that were not armies but disasters of nature and failed stars. Joint response teams formed with mixed crews. They carried the same doctrine of calm action under pressure. Lyra faced challenges of rule. Factions questioned reliance on outsiders. She answered with transparency. She opened archives that showed the hours Adam had stood alone in smoke. The debates quieted. Trust endured. On human worlds, children learned the story as well. It was taught without exaggeration. Teachers emphasized preparation and empathy. They explained that humanity survived not because it was cruel, but because it adapted and protected one another. Years later, a memorial was raised on the capital moon. It bore no likeness. It bore a simple inscription about shared resolve. Visitors from many worlds paused there. Adam lived modestly. He worked with disaster planners and trained volunteers. He avoided attention. When asked about his past, he spoke of teams and timing. He credited Lyra for her courage. He never accepted praise alone. In a rare visit, Lyra came to a human colony. She walked markets and farms. She saw the ordinary lives that had produced extraordinary defenders. In private, she thanked Adam again. She did not use titles. Their bond had matured beyond words. As generations passed, the Void clans faded into history. New alliances rose. Humanity became known as a stabilizing force. They did not seek thrones. They stood where needed. The story endured because it was simple. When the universe tested them, humans chose to protect. That choice echoed through alliances and friendships. It shaped futures. Thus the tale of her protector became a lesson rather than a legend. It reminded all who heard it that strength guided by responsibility could guard worlds. And in quiet corners of memory, the princess still remembered the calm voice that taught her how to stand. Scholars later analyzed the events with careful language. They noted logistics and diplomacy. They charted fleet movements and resource flows. Yet they often missed the human element. Adam's influence lay in example. He showed that trust could be built under fire. Lyra's legacy was similar. She ruled with openness learned from crisis. Her people prospered not through isolation, but cooperation. Festivals celebrated unity. New art depicted guardians standing back to back. When asked what defined humanity in that era, historians pointed to restraint. The ability to stop after victory mattered. Humanity gained allies because it knew when to lower weapons. The stars would always carry risk, but the memory of a human